Luke, how's it going?
Phil, I love that entry right there. It's going really well. What about yourself? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Just getting over some crud that I picked up in Europe, but I'm okay. We went on a 2 week vacation over to Prague. It was a good trip. I do be loving me some Europe. Probably gonna wind up retiring over there. I really enjoy it over there. So, but yeah. So, thank you for coming on. We met over a Facebook group, and I really dug your story about being a footballer, soccer player, and your story just really intrigued me.
Yeah. No, you're a good Phil. No, listen, we did connect in a Facebook group. Obviously, we're fellow podcasters, and just sort of your style anyway intrigued me as well. I'm curious wise to be able to, I guess, share my story, and hopefully, that the goal of this for me, with every time I share this, is to help others. Right, is to give back. So to condense the story, because honestly, we could be sat here for hours. Let me tell you, the amount of stuff I've been through, but with the sort of soccer journey in all, to give your audience context, it was something that a football was at my feet, glued to my feet from the ages of 5 years old. And I was I am still a Manchester United supporter, and I was always glory, glory, Man United. Everything was Man United, alarm clocks were Man United. You couldn't imagine every bit of memorabilia that Man United had. I had it. It was David Beckham was my idol, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes. That was the Alex Fergie era where they just won everything. And I don't know, I just got that hunger as a young aspiring professional footballer to be. I wanted to play for Man United. That was it. And my dad's family, they always gave me the platform to do what I wanted to do and to be fully me. So yeah, my career sort of like went twists and turns. I played like amateur football from the ages of like 6 all the way through to 13, but I was dipping in and out of like professional football. And my dad was really reluctant to sort of throw me into the professional world at a young age, because obviously, as we see it now, it's quite pressurized. It's quite it can crush mental health with these young footballers, because you're not sort of ready, so it's very intense. So I enjoyed all that. I traveled to Germany. I had so much fun, and I think that allowed. I know you'll let me keep saying this anyway, Phil, like the word fun, right? Because I think that's where I sort of operate best in anything, business as well, having fun with it. I was leader of the captains of football teams. I was just on fire. I was scoring goals. I was a free kick taker. Again, I'd learnt this technique. It was the knuckleball. So like up and over, I went with the free kick specialist. I literally wanted to be that 1% better and stand out in some way. I had the hard work ethic. That was something I always did extra training, always did stuff in my own time. But then, look, I got into the professional world, and that really, when I look back upon reflection, when I started getting paid, and then I started being around these managers, I just didn't fit in what they probably wanted. And that's when I guess I took a bit of a nosedive. And I think that's when I started to resent football. I had a lot of depression with it. I had a lot of rejection. I mean, I'm only giving people a small insight here, but, I think it soaked and zapped all of me, who I was. I was this energetic, popular kid that was just so, good energy. And everyone was like, yo, you're so passionate. You're such a good guy to be around. To then, I didn't even exist in the room.
Well, that's the thing is like for me in my profession, I started off when I was in my early 20s. So you start off idealistic and full of vigor and ready to go, and you want to change the world, and then reality sets in. And then, so for me, the moment that I start to monetize something and make it a job, that's when I start to not like it. For me, money removes passion, and then it turns into I have to, not I want to. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I mean, just to give people again the monetary of it. I mean, football, that I've never been paid a lot of money. So I was like, if I go back to like 16, it was £55 a week. We're not talking big deal breaking money here where you go, it's changing you, but I know where you're coming from with it. There was a lot of pressure because I knew that I was in this sort of scholarship program. So like you'd get a scholarship in America and stuff like that, but it was a scholarship with education just for 2 years. But then after that 2 years, you get yes, you're going to be a pro with us, or no, you're not. Here's some exit trials and you can sort of find your way. So I did put that pressure on myself. Like, right, I've got 2 years. Like all this work that I've been doing for the last, from 5 years to 16, which is 11 years. I was like, right, this is it. This is showtime. And because I wasn't fitting, because once I started getting paid, I was getting lots of rejection. The managers, I just didn't seem to get along with the managers. There was just something. And the actions that I'd taken from it, I was somebody, I'm quite sensitive. So I took it out with anger and frustration, but not,
Same way.
yeah. So with that, what I did do is I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work harder than every single person in this room, and you're not going to beat me for hard work. But what that did, it actually made it worse. It made the situation worse. Like, I was more run into the ground. I looked ill because I was overtraining. I got a personal trainer. I got somebody helping out with nutrition. And the reality was, what really took my head for a spin was we had to be a certain body fat percentage to be in the squad. Yeah. So they pinch your with skin calipers, and it's certain areas. The thing that made it really intrusive was not just because they're pinching your skin. It was actually, he did it because we didn't have a specific room. He did it in the gym where all the other footballers were. So you're there with your top off. Some lads are doing weights, but then they're also looking at you and then listening to hear what your numbers are. And then they'd be like, hey, he's a fat bastard. Look at chubby boy over there. No wonder he can't get, no wonder he can't get in the squad. And listen, mate, you ain't chubby, you ain't fat, but that's what they're saying to you. And it hurts because, I was there going, I'm working so hard. They don't even know what I'm doing behind the scenes because I'm trying to work hard in silence here. But inside me, I was like getting ripped apart,
Well, I feel, and I may be, stepping over, but I think you and I have a lot of the same mentality. Like, if we can't do it to the best, we don't want to do it at all. And I think that's where you and I are a lot alike, is like, because I'm the same way. Like, you don't think I can do it? Well, watch this shit. I'm going to show you I can, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and you're going to be blown away.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes that in and of itself, I think as a species, as human beings, we don't think about stress. We try to think it's motivation, but stress is not a motivator. Stress is a killer. And it's like, and you put all this extra pressure on yourself. Okay, this I might step on some toes here, but I don't really give a shit. It's a lot like religion, right? When you put all this extra pressure on yourself to be this ideal person, it doesn't work. It just makes you worse because it's all the stress and all the anxiety of screwing up. So I completely get where you're coming from, and it's just not conducive to being healthy. It doesn't help you in your day to day. I'm sure soccer was this much of your life. It's just the problem with being a driven person is you're a driven person.
Yeah. It is.
You kind of become your own worst enemy in things. So when you got to the realization that football or soccer wasn't for you, how did you get into the business realm of things? How did that transition?
So it took a while to realize, just what you said there about the driven side. I was very much all or nothing, So like what you said, if I'm not in it, all in, I'm not going to do it at all.
Exactly.
And I sacrificed so much of my life. A lot of my school friends, they'd moved on, and I guess we had a very, very close school group. So I left them all behind, and it's Luke, remember when you're famous. So I felt that pressure. From even my friends from school. So from football, when I got released at 19 years of age, my dad, I was very fortunate. I would always have a backdrop. My dad's, got his own business in aerospace engineering. Wow, so he ran his own business. So he literally said, look, you can always come here. I worked there part-time to earn a bit of money because I was still trying to get back in the football once I got released. So I just took it as a bit of like cash to put fuel in the tank and to go for these football trials. So I guess I was trying to not condition myself into going down this path, but I was seeing if it was for me. And it didn't take very long for me to realize engineering is not for me. I'm not a hands-on DIY sort of guy. So I guess for me, the only thing that, and again, you sort of have to reflect on your life and check in. And I think just for your audience, sort of, if they're in a bit of a lost place and not really knowing where to start, and maybe they're going, I really don't know where I am right now, but I really don't know where I want to go. I just feel like I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing until I realize. See, you keep saying that to yourself, it's going to be months and months and you're not going to change anything. What I had to do is slow right down in the moment, check in and go, okay, not like, right, let's like, what I'm great at, what are you good at, what's your skills, It was literally like, what are you doing right now that you really enjoy?
Correct. Yeah.
Right? What are you actually doing right now? And do you know what it was? It was the gym. I was like, found this sort of peace for me. It was like my church, really, going to the gym. I just felt free. I felt sort of no weight on my shoulders because I didn't have to go. Do you know what? I didn't have to go and impress anyone. I just went there for me. And that led me where conversations led from what I enjoy. So when I go home to my mum and dad and stuff like that, they'd go, gosh, you're really into gym, aren't you? And it actually inspired both my parents to start being a bit more wary of the nutrition side, just because I was so obsessed and learning about it. Then they started cruising. They went on cruise ships, and this I'm leading on to the point that sort of opened the door. And they come home from the cruise ship and was like, Luke, we saw like crew members out on the beach. They was having Corona beers. They was just playing volleyball. They all looked like they had a few drinks down them, having fun. And that fun, it like spark again. But they was living a life of balance in a way. Like, you know, they're having fun whilst, you know, they were physically, you know, doing fitness and stuff. So I was like, what? And then they come home. I'd never been on a cruise ship in my life. And they said, yeah, the gym was nice. I was like, gym on a cruise ship? I'm sure people just eat their whole body weight in food, right? Like, it's all inclusive. That's what you do. But they said, no, there was a spa on there and all this. So I was like, okay. So then my dad said, he went, Luke, you love training. You don't like where you are at the moment. Why not go away and earn some money and look at maybe becoming a personal trainer? So that led to that. And you know what? It was like, that was back in like May time 2015. And I did a 6 weeks intensive in-person qualification. So it was really good, like, you know, proper exam and all that at the end. And from there, I think everything happens for a reason. I was in the tutor who was going through it. He'd worked on cruise ships and he was talking about it. And I was like, no way, this is mad. And he was like, oh, listen, there's loads of birds on there, loads of girls. You're going to have a blast. And I thought I sort of missed that because I was so dedicated to my sport that I was like, I'm sold, get me involved. Like, I was just all in. So, yeah.
There's a level of universal influence in things, right? Like, everything happens the way that it should when it should. And it's like, but our human interference, it's not necessarily, you know, a need or a whatever, but it's just us wanting to be or to feel like we're in control of our own lives. And we are, to a degree, you know, day to day and that.
Yeah.
But when you have something that's almost that serendipitous that says, hey, you know, it was meant to be. That's like, for me in this show, I had to go through 2 other ones to get here.
Right.
To do this, you know, and this is what I'm passionate about, is what you and I are doing right now, because I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. I love like, just learning different cultures and learning how to look at life at a different way, you know, and that's what this is for me. So it gives me the opportunity to like, you know, you and I would have never have met because we're thousands of miles apart, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so,
I know
and
what
it
you're
just,
saying.
yeah. And this gives us the opportunity to have this conversation. I mean, so I think things happen in your life the way they're supposed to, whether you intervene or not, you know, like,
Yeah.
100%. So like, I started off as a chef, and then I turned into a surgical tech. Like, I don't know how you make that leap, but I did it.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I completely like agree and resonate with what you're talking about. Like the hurdles, you know, you sort of go on one path, you commit to it. I think that's the thing as well. I was at that place in my sort of life where I had to make a commitment. And I think that's what people are scared of, is making a commitment. But it had to be something that wasn't just where I could easily get out of it, you know? Because
Yeah.
I would, at that stage, because I was in a low mental state, I could talk myself out of it. But, you know, because I had to go through all these qualifications to, again, go on a cruise ship and do all my medicals and all that kind of stuff, I was on there for 9 months. So I had to pack my life for 9 months. You know, it wasn't just like you go away for a month, you can come home. You know, so it's like I needed that.
Because now you're really separated from soccer, football, right? Like,
It was the best way.
Yeah, I mean, because you have, you know, you're on an island, basically.
Yeah,
In the middle
floating
of the
town.
ocean. Yeah, it's a floating town, right? So it's like, it gave you that chance to reset your brain and say, you know what, maybe football isn't what what I thought it was. And I think that when we come up, or having that support system, and then being able to go and do, and then able to have that hard reset and realize that this isn't for me, I need to choose a different path. It makes it to where you can have that moment of clarity that you needed, you know?
Well, just talking about that, there was a lot of things going through my mind. You know, it's spot on what you said. I think I use the word now that was a reinvention phase for me. It was like, who am I like, who is Luke without football? Because I didn't know, because that's all it was. It was just like Luke's footballer, Luke's a footballer, Luke's a footballer. So the most refreshing, like light refreshment, if you want to call it, piece was being able to walk into that terminal at Vancouver and join this cruise ship that I was like, well, I've never been on one in my life. For nobody to know who I was. Nobody was like, how's football going? You know?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just so people met me where I was in that moment, and it honestly, I can't begin to tell you how it was. It was it was the best feeling ever. And do you know what? When I went on there, I'd never, and I literally put my hands up to this. I'd never done a single personal training session. I was brand new qualified, and here I was. I'd set up my business name, Muscle Coach UK, before I left home because I didn't know whether I was going to be on land or cruise ships. I went out on cruise ships, and literally, I can remember when I got on that cruise ship, I'd never taught a fitness class, never done anything. And literally, my trainer met me on there, he was South African. He was like, right, tomorrow, Luke, you're going to teach the stretch class, the Pilates class. And we'd done a little bit of like, run throughs and role plays in the academy, of course, but it's never like the real thing. And there I was, I threw myself right in the deep end. And like we always know, growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone, that is for sure. And I was well out of my comfort zone. And it was, I still say this to this day, that was the turning point. And that's what helped me become the business owner I am today, is by taking on that experience.
And it's so you stepping onto that cruise ship was the first time that you could be Luke, the first time that you were able to be, hey, you know what? I don't need to worry about the fact that I can kick a ball or,
Yeah.
or whatever, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's a very liberating thing to go through. And it actually helps you, lack of a better term, divorce that part of yourself.
Yeah. I had
And
to.
then, yeah, you have to, because if there's a part that's killing you in life and it's not making you happy or joyful, it's got to go, because life is too
Yeah.
short. We can, people, in my experience, I've seen people, they come in for a simple routine surgery. I was like, hey, buddy, sorry, it's cancer and it's not good. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, like, your life can change in a blink of an eye. And like I told my girlfriend, and this wasn't directed towards her or anybody, but I said, if there's something in my life that disturbs my peace, it's gone, without regret, without remorse, without nothing. It's just done, cut off, you're dead, see ya. And that's I have to be that way, because with people, I give people too many chances, and I care too much about people, and not enough about myself. And this is another reason why I do this show, is for self exploration, because that way I can figure out me a little bit too. Because I've never met a stranger. I care when I have a friend, I don't want to lose them because abandonment issues as a child. You know what I mean? Like, my
Right.
mom always had to work. My dad was a piece of shit. Everybody knows that. But when you have a lot of self doubt and a lot of self negativity, changing your zone of comfort can actually do a good reset for a lot of things.
Mm.
I think we also put too much focus on our vocation in life. You know what I mean? Like, I am this. Your work defines you as a human being, and it shouldn't. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think just everything you said there. Sorry to hear that your dad was, a piece of shit, mate. But
Yeah.
obviously, I think you've checked in where you are, and I just think, yes, you're right. People are fixated on a
Mhm.
role, right? So a status, a role, validity on wherever they are in their life. So, for example, if they get to again, like when you're young, you're aspiring to be, you go to university, maybe whatever you do, you might aspire to be, I want to be a manager, I want to be a deputy head, I want to be a director, I want to be a CEO, whatever it may be. But then when you get there, it's like, then they stay there. It's like they fixate, or then they become a dad or, a granddad, whatever. And it's like these roles. But I think you have to still be playful with it, because it's the fun part, right? It's like people, what the big term in the United Kingdom, and I don't know if they say it a lot in America, but they say this in UK so much, and it's quite, I take it as a negative spin. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's all they ever say. So,
Yeah.
like, if I was to talk to somebody and go, right, and they'd say they're talking about their life, and they're going, yeah, but I've got bills to pay, I've got food to put on the table. We know all the stuff that we all hear, right? I'm a provider, I've got to do this, and they go, I know, but and I'd turn around and go, are you happy? And they'll go, what? I go, are you happy? And you have to ask it a few times, because it's sort of like, you can see it
Doesn't
just
sink
like,
in.
yeah, it's just not, they're not processing it, because they don't probably ever get asked that question. because people sometimes don't give a shit, or they haven't even got the brain capacity to even ask that question, right?
Right.
So they sit there and they go, no, I'm not. But it, and then they'll go, but it is what it is. No, it's not. You're programmed and conditioned to this role that it has to be that way when it actually doesn't. You're one decision away from changing your life. And it took me a while to realize that.
Very much an is what it is person because of the way my life has been up until this point.
Okay.
But for me, it's not necessarily a negative thing. Like, it's, for me, when I say it is what it is, it's something usually out of my control.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. It's out of your control, yeah.
So I had a coworker, I should say, and he's like you said, the main breadwinner and all that, and he's very much not taking care of himself. And I said, if you aren't happy, and if you get sick, and if you don't take care of yourself, who's going to be the one to take care of your family? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, there you go. And I said, you have to take time for yourself, because if you don't, somebody else will raise your kids. And I said, your happiness is just as important as your family's, because if you're not happy, because it stops at the dad, usually top down. You know what I mean? If people say that's sexist, I don't give a shit, but it's just the way that it is. It's like you have to look at yourself and take care of yourself, but it's you can't have this mentality of I'll worry about me last, but it's somewhere, it falls in the middle, because you can't. Your kids come first and everything like that. So you have to it's all about balance and walking a tightrope. It's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not, but your kids don't come first. Right. So that's a harsh thing to say. And I know a lot of people get their back up, but I've got a daughter and we've got another baby on the way in April. And here's something really cool. Because I'm actually looking after myself, and so is my fiance, our daughter is picking up on moods, the way we talk, our tones, the way we look, the activities that we do. Like, I can't begin to express at 2 years of age the amount they soak up and the amount they repeat. And you know what? People over here go, oh, I know. But if you look like shit, you feel like shit, you act like shit, they will pick up on that from a young age. And their brain from 0 to 3, they're wiring the brain, and it carries through.
Yeah.
It carries through into the way they are. It will be certain attributes, behaviors. Like, all I'm saying is that you cannot give what you don't have. So if you haven't got energy, you can't give energy, right?
Exactly.
If you haven't got health, you can't give health to others. It's like, it's the way that we are. I always say this, and it's interesting because I've got older clientele that I work with, and they always say, oh, do you know what, Luke, I obviously talk to you and stuff, and I know you're very like selfless in the things you do with obviously your health and well-being, because obviously I'm in the game and I help people on the business and all that kind of stuff. Is I go, but you're not being selfish. You're being selfless because you're actually putting yourself first for once. And you know what? By you putting yourself first, actually everybody else around you is having the best version of you. They are feeling that best version, because they're going to look up to you and go, oh, do you know what? Phil's fair play. And then your kid benefits, your wife benefits, everybody but what people do is they do it the other way around. Like, they put themselves at the bottom of the pile, and then what happens is the relationships get stressed, and there's a lot of victim mentality playing in, there's tension, there's a bit of eruption, and then it's a constant battle, when really the battle can be ended if you both actually prioritize yourselves, but then work together as a team. And then, like, with your family dynamic, look, I mean, I've been going through this for 2 years, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we're perfect, and we're not. And all this about putting yourself bottom, like, I've had sacrifice training, I've had sleepless nights, so has my fiance. Like, we've had arguments, right? I'm not saying that, but the one thing, the ground foundation that literally does change everything, and also your behavior, I'm going to go into behavior because that's massive, is by looking after yourself.
Yeah. Well, and kids, like I'm going to talk about what you alluded to a little bit ago, was they pick up on their environment, like you said, and they do imitate what they see. And it's like, so if they see their parents laying on the couch and not
Absolutely.
being, and they pick up on it. And now, I don't know how it is in the UK, but here we have the iPad babysitter. Like, parents, they just give them a tablet, and I'm not saying that's every parent, because that's a broad brush to paint with. But like, I was at the grocery store the other day. There was this kid in the cart, and he's just clicking away on an iPad. And I mean, that may have just been so the parent could shop. But there's obviously, I'm outside looking in here, so they try to figure out the best way to do it. And sometimes like you alluded to earlier, kids will pick up on parents' behavior and then
Yeah.
they mimic that behavior. Like my dad, we'll talk about him. From the time that I was born to the time that he died when I was 14, 13, 14, whatever it was, he never worked a day in his life. You know what I mean? Like my mom was the breadwinner.
Okay.
So I'm the youngest of 9 children. All of my siblings, some of them are alive. I'm not going to name names. Most of them are dead. But I wasn't
Sorry.
close with any of them. I mean, one
Okay.
or two maybe, but and that's debatable. But anyways, I got my work ethic from my mother, not my father, because I saw her busting her ass to make a living for us while he was sitting on the couch chewing tobacco and watching TV. So and with my brothers, I was able to see how they were alcoholics in and out of jail. So it made me be as successful as I am because I'm like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So what you said a little bit ago about kids picking up on their parents' vibe, so to speak, is very true. And it is very kids are like I told one of my coworkers, he just had a baby, and I said, you have a great responsibility not to fuck that kid up. And he's like, gee, thanks, Phil. I'm like, I'm just being honest with you because you have this life that you're responsible for and you have to make it a productive adult. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah. It's I agree. I mean, do you know what though, Phil? I mean, even your listeners, sort of obviously we're going on like loads of different topics here, but the groundbreaking foundation of everything here is you, right? So you've got to, so wherever life takes you, whatever distractions you go down, whatever stresses because we're all going to face challenges and stresses and all these things and highs and lows, you have to stay in tune with yourself. So for me, I've been on a big self-discovery journey, personal reinvention journey, and I can't begin to explain. And I've read loads of personal development books, and they all say the same thing.
Right.
I start from within. I start from within. I go from within. It starts with you. So it's like you've got to be able to like reflect a mirror or reflect a camera that's videoing you day to day. Like if you was watching yourself or you look at, what would you say about yourself? How would you look at yourself and say that you're talking that, and if you've got kids as well, that's what sort of like me and Abby do, right? My fiance, we talk about like our daughter, like, are we talking to her right? Are we screaming? Are we shouting? And honestly, she can tell when we are on a bit of a mood, right? Because she starts throwing a little bit of a tantrum. So they just know, and it's not words either. It's just your actions, it's your behaviors, it's your facial expressions. But we always say, and this is the thing as well, is you've got to have time for yourself, like your time. Like we was talking not so long ago that we felt ourselves distancing away from each other. The kid gets in the middle, they tear you apart, and it's like, hold on a minute, where are we? Where
Exactly.
and we went on a date night. There's so many things.
Well, I had a coworker again, and she was she had grandchildren, and she was telling me a story about her son that had just recently had a kid. And she says, never let your child get in the way of intimacy of your relationships, and not just in a physical way. I'm saying you and your wife or spouse or partner or whatever will be there after the kids are gone. So you have to make them the priority. Like, so are you still doing the personal training? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So my model is I've got my fingers in a few different pies, which I actually enjoy now because I guess I was just all fitness. So sort of it started from, personal training. I still do a little bit of that now, but I've gone into like business consulting, and that comes from actually the podcast idea that I've got, that I run, but I work with people that are employed and I consult with them to help them grow their dream business.
Okay.
More from a mindset perspective. So I'm not a mentor because I'm not mentoring them to say grow 6 figures in a year. Or what I'm here to do is I'm here to focus and coach the human. I've always been human focused, like human first, business second.
Exactly.
Which I'm sure that comes, I mean, that bit ties in well from literally what I've been talking about. Like, you got to look after yourself, you got to look after yourself. So I guess for me, I'm sort of the second pair of eyes, the second mindset, and the sort of the helicopter view on the person. So that's sort of the system and the model that I use. It works so effectively because I've done it in fitness for over 10 years. I obviously do it with business now, but I've obviously got my own podcast show as well called Master Your Life Beyond the Boardroom. that, again, the audience that listen to that, because I only bring business owners on there and founders and entrepreneurs, the people that listen are the people that are stuck, don't know where to start, don't want to be in the career for the next 15, 20 years. They can't see themselves retiring where they are. They want something more exciting. They want to build something that they want to build. So that is sort of good value, their free value that they can listen to from all different walks of life. So it's not a specific niche on, like, say, marketing or graphics or whatever. We just bring on all different business owners. And then I've got my own run club. So I do community work where I don't get paid. So the run club's a 5-kilometer run club. It's just about our village. So I live in a village and it's very quiet. You know, everybody don't talk to anybody anymore. Nobody knows anybody anymore. It's that sort of world that we live in, right? We're more connected, but we are actually more disconnected. So I'm trying to get people out, and movement is medicine. So I want to help people move freely, no judgment. Everybody's welcome. So we do that, and we always have a coffee or a juice after or whatever. You know, it's just friendly vibes. And then I do some other community work where I do like giveaways and just help people. So, you know, my model is transformation, but it's just got different pockets.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like what you said about the whole how we're connected but disconnected at the same time.
Yeah,
everybody, like, I can't tell you, we were waiting on a Bolt in which is their version of Uber over there. Yeah, and so we were sitting there waiting at the curb, waiting for the car to show up, and there's this woman. She's on her phone and slap right into a signpost, and I was like, I just went like, oh, that brick over there, how old's that? You know, because you feel bad for her. But, you know, that's just that what you just said. That kind of feels like that image popped into my head of her dinging her head off the pole, and that's just because we're so obsessed with these stupid things. You know, the phones, this dumb crap.
I know,
and it's like so, and we don't take time to talk to people, and I think that it's really made this disconnect between everybody, and it just does it. Social media does it too, because it's all fake and just ridiculous stuff.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, if this could be a loophole we could go down, but I can remember somebody asked me the question actually on another podcast where they say, oh, you know, what's one thing that you would say to people out there that are wanting growth, you know, like deep inside, and they want change, they want something, but they're struggling, you know, that maybe they're lacking that sort of root, that clarity, you know, all that sort of thing. All I said was just look up more. Actually look up and see what's in front of you. You know, rather than looking down at your phone, you know, that's where everyone's so self-absorbed in what everybody else is doing with their life and going, why is it them and not me? How can they make it look easy? How can their life look so great? When actually probably it isn't, but it's just the way it comes across. Just look up and see what's around you. I mean, honestly, I've worked with some great people. There was one coach that I did a little bit of work with, and he was an ex-Wimbledon coach for tennis.
Well, yeah.
And, you know, he sort of said to me, he was like, Luke, he goes, all I used to say to my tennis players, if they ever felt felt pressure, you know, felt like under that light, you know, training's getting intense, just go and have a walk in nature. That's the reconnecting piece. So your disconnect is digital, social, whatever. Bringing connection is a bit of nature, a bit of greenery, a bit of fresh air, a bit of sunlight, you know, all the stuff we know, right? But we're always indoors, because when we was going through a pandemic, everybody got told to bloody stay indoors. Stay at home, stay indoors, lock everything up, right? Whereas as humans, we are tribal. We want to be around people, we want to be outdoors, we want to be communicating, we want connection, we want shoulder to shoulder, we want hugs, we want high fives, that, you know, and that's sort of what I'm seeing a lot more people are doing that, which is amazing. But that's something that I want to be a part of as well. I want to be a part of that sort of following, is to say, hey, listen, come and follow. This is what I can offer you with what I do, whether it's free or paid. But it's about, let's take care of you. Let's put you on the pedestal a little bit, because I don't want you to get left behind. You know, let's get you moving forwards.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you said earlier on about movement being medicine.
100%.
Like my mom is almost 80 years old, and she's still pretty, you know, active. She goes to the gym. I mean, she doesn't lift weights, but she does the treadmill and whatever.
Yeah.
And there was a time there where she was just getting very sedentary, and I said, you got to move. So I got divorced 2 years ago, and I moved back in with her so I could save money to buy a house.
Okay. Yeah.
And then up until that point, she had been living with someone who was close to us, and they were doing everything for her. And I said, that needs to stop. And it's going to stop now that I'm here. And because if you sit still, you hurt more, you don't, and then you just become lazy. And it is a crumble effect. You know, it starts, all it takes is just, you know what, I'm just going to sit here and relax for a little bit. And then that turns into you haven't moved in 5 hours. And then, especially as you get older, the more you move, the more you stay active. Stretching is a huge part of longevity, and which I don't do it because I'm lazy, but I
Yeah,
need to.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like, I get home from a full day of the OR, and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is stretch, which I should, but I don't. But
Well,
I, you know, yeah.
well, again, it's environment though, Phil. You know, I mean, for me, I'll hold my hands up and say, you know, am I going to stretch here? You know, am I going to stretch at home? No, I'm not going to do it. Absolutely, it's environment, right? So it's. I think this is another thing as well that we've really gone wrong
Mhm.
is everything being from home. It's the worst thing ever. Like working from home. You know, like literally, people are like rocking up to the workplace. They might not have say the t-shirt on, but they just sat there in their pajamas. You know,
Mhm.
maybe not even brush their teeth first thing in the morning. The routines are gone out the window. The energy's all over the place. They're going to bed whenever they want. They're waking up whenever they want. They don't even know where they are. Like I say, they're disconnected. They've got no
Mhm.
purpose, right? So
Right.
movement is medicine, right? It's same with your muscle. Yeah, you know, like if you talk about stretching, right? It's there to lengthen a muscle, not shorten a muscle. If your muscles are short, you're tight. If you're tight, you're tense. If you're tense, you're stressed. Right. So it's
Exactly.
sort of like a compound effect. So if you're looser, more fluid, you're in what people love to call them. It's quite a buzzword, but it's like you're in flow, you know?
Flow state.
Yeah, you're in a flow state. It's like you're a river rather than a swamp,
Exactly.
you know?
I like that analogy. That's a good one. Yeah, because
Yeah.
swamps are stagnant and gross, and
They're
you feel like
rotting.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Horrible,
I
man. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. It's a good one. Yeah, be a river, not a swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So then that's the thing is I so my heaviest. I don't know what this would equate into kilogram yeah kilos, but I was 320 pounds, and I'm
Okay.
6 foot. I'm 6'4".
Right. You tall. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was, I was a fat ass. So I
Yeah.
looked in the mirror and I'm like, and then well, actually I was eating a sub sandwich, and my doctor called me. He's like, "Hey, you're pre-diabetic." I was like, "Shit." Just a
Yeah.
sandwich. The next day, I'd had a gym membership on auto pay for years, right? Just
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
go because whatever, and I was lazy. And so the next day I went. I did 3 miles on the treadmill, and I said, "You're changing." And then from that point on, I dropped 15 pounds in a month, and
Wow.
was able to change my diet immediately and started moving and started feeling better. And then once it's like, just like I told somebody recently, just go for a 30-minute walk. Start there, or even just go around the block. Just do a little bit more each day. Add to it
Yeah. Yeah.
each and every day. Make better choices with your diet. Make better choices with your movement. Make better choices with, and it's easier said than done when
Of
when you have
course.
all these external life things getting in the way. But back to what you were saying, you have to put yourself first and make yourself a priority. Because if you don't, no one else is going to do it for you. Because most people are leeches and will steal your joy if they can. So
Yeah. Well, comparison's the thief of joy as well, right? You've probably heard of that one.
100%.
You know, so I think what you're saying there is spot on. But I would just say, you know, I had to do this as well for myself because I felt very burnt out, overstimulated, overwhelmed at one stage with one of the businesses I was running. Is just check in, just do like a time audit, right? Just do like a weekly time audit and have a look in your week or your calendar or whatever, and just have a look there and see if there's anything in there that's actually for you that makes you happy and it's a bit of fun. But maybe it's a hobby, I don't know. Maybe it's crafts, maybe it's writing, maybe it's a book club, maybe it's a run, maybe it's recreational football, soccer, baseball, whatever. See if that's in there as a regular, not just a one-off. And if it's not in there, then no wonder your cup's empty. No wonder you feel a bit like deflated and maybe feel a bit like shit because you're not allowing yourself to have a bit of time. Because remember, we know this, you know, time can be I mean, they talk about currencies, but it's bloody expensive. You know,
Hmm.
it's very expensive if obviously because time goes, it's gone.
Yeah,
You know, it's an
never good.
investment, you know, like money, it comes and goes. So the thing that I always emphasize for myself, I'm always drilling this is like, Luke, where do you want to be spending your time? What with that time that you invest, does it give you energy? Does it sort of like uplift you or does it sort of pull you down? And that comes into obviously work, you know, being around humans. You know, you don't want to be, you don't want to be like if you're spending your time with negative people, you're going to be the average product of spending time with negative people. That's who you're going to be. Are you going to start talking like them? You're going to start doing what they're doing. They're going to want to pull you to their level. There's so much here. And it's hard. Look, the hardest thing is to break out of the cycle that you're in if you're like seeking that change. I really struggled, but the way I got out of it was I had to have a drastic change of environment, and I had to break away from just where I was doing my day-to-day stuff.
Right. Well, they say that you are the 5 people that you hang out with.
But yeah,
When it comes to friends, for me, I prefer quality over quantity.
yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, like I would much rather have 3 really good friends than a
Yeah, yeah,
million acquaintances, you know?
yeah,
So, and it's also when I see one, I'm not an easy person to approach. One, because I'm a giant, and two, it's just because I'm very standoffish because I don't know. It's trust issues for me, right? And I'm working on that. If it gets to the point to where you're constantly having a wall up and you're not having any friends at all, it becomes a bad thing. But when you I'm a listener. Like I don't when I go somewhere for the first time, I observe and I watch people and I'm like, okay. And then I can tell if I want to have a friendship or not with somebody. You know, but for me it's if you're bringing me down or you feel like a millstone around my neck, we're not gonna be compatible. I can't. I've had friends in the past they'll just suck every ounce of joy out of your life because they're not happy, and then you have to move
yeah,
on. Where did your sense of community come from? Like you were saying doing the run group and all that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
what made you want to give back like that?
Well, it was more from the fact that I was lonely. So I actually felt really empty. I felt lonely. I was like, from the outside, people could say, I mean, I was going through a tough couple of years with the business. Like it just sort of went up and up and up and up and up and up, then went crash. And so, I mean, I built a team. I invested lots a lot. I mean, I invested 6 figures into the business. It was ridiculous. I just wanted it to grow. I was very much in the growth mindset. But I learned a lot. Again, trust issues. I can relate to that because I've got that now with people. I'm very standoffish as well because I don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
I think trust is earned as well. You got to show that. So for me, I needed to remove all of the pressures. And as we said, I don't know if we said this actually on the recording, but about money changes people, right? Where as soon as money gets involved over a period,
100%.
that's where the real true colors come out in people, right? So for me, with the Run Club, I removed that, so it's free, okay. And what I've realized is, again, I'm finding so much fulfillment and enjoyment in the free stuff. So I'm not even bothered that and a lot of time goes into this. And the guys who come to the Run Club every 2 weeks, like we have like 30, 40, 50 people come. We've got a race, got about 100 people come in. It's just so fun. It's like in a village. They're like, oh my God, you spend so much time on this and you're not getting paid, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but in the long run, it'll come in different ways. It doesn't have to be money from the Run Club, but also I'd been in so many like different networking groups. I'd done a lot of that for a couple of years and I felt disconnected. But I'd heard so much surface level bollocks, like it was fake, it was filtered, masks was on, and I was like, gosh, I just want to be around normal people. I am fed up of talking to corporate, up their own arse people that think they've got everything and just look at me. So I was like, I am not that guy. Even though like I could probably match them on a monetary level, like it wasn't about who's better, who's the smartest person in the room, or that's why I did the Run Club. I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to get local people in the village who's just, maybe and just pretty cool and come out and let's move. Let's just get out and have a bit and honestly, like I can't begin to express how much joy I've got from that. And then people like look up to me and go, Luke, like you're such a community. I mean, yes, I've got a business and the business has to keep running because I've got a bills to pay and all that. But it started from that fake people and just feeling very lonely myself that I'm like, I don't want to. So I would be on LinkedIn, right? And I would be having like in my calendar, like even my partner would say, God, you've got another like virtual coffee with somebody. Right? Every time I got onto a conversation, Phil, they were selling me. I was like, yo, I just want to chat to you. Like we're chatting now. We know there's no agenda. That's why I did the podcast as well. There's no pressure. No one's selling anything. We're just having a chat, but we're connecting. All right. And we're in different countries. But whenever it sort of come on a LinkedIn conversation, it's like they're maybe a marketing specialist and maybe I'm like a business like coach / fitness, whatever, that they come on and then you're sort of having a bit of a nice friendly chat, but in back of their head, they're going to go, I'm going to see if I can sell him this product. oh, I'm going to see if
Yeah.
I'm going to sell this service. And it infuriates us because it's like you said, it was just a virtual coffee, right?
It's all these ulterior motives that people have,
Yeah.
and that just drives you up a wall. It's like they're able to fake this whole idea of genuineness until
Yeah.
they can get to the point where they want to close the deal. And it's like, dude,
Absolutely.
I can't stand motherfuckers like that.
No.
It's like if you are always selling something, they're always trying to get a piece of you or whatever. They just drive. They're like basically don't have a fucking soul. Pardon my French. And that's the thing with the corporate world. I've never worked in it, so I don't know. But from what I can tell, they just want to stab people in the back.
No, they do. They do. Yeah. It's. I mean, I'm only going from, again, I've not been in the corporate world, but the name, like say when I started my podcast show, it was going to be beyond the workplace. But I just thought, because I've been around these people that was in boardrooms, and I knew that they were honestly, they are the ones that get so empty inside. They're the ones that, have nice bloated salaries, but are actually so unhappy. It's just, that's why you see a lot of these big celebrities just having a garden. Like David Beckham's just got vegetables. He grows vegetables. He just wants to be normal. It's his peace. He just wants to connect with nature. It's like he's got like the documentary on Netflix. You just see what he's doing. He's just because they'll never be normal, right? Because of who they are.
They can't go outside.
They just want to be normal. They just want to be around just people that are just. This is why I just feel that we live in a world that is so status, materialistic, flash-driven stuff. But actually, you know what? I mean, again, we're going a bit deep here, but there's only one guarantee in life: we're going to die, right? And people are like literally being the richest person in the graveyard these days, or at least, it's like all of that means nothing really.
Doesn't. And I think as a society, and just no matter what country you live in, unless you live in like some third world country where they don't have a lot of stuff, or you being in the UK, me being in America, we have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, everything.
And it's like, so therefore we have shiny object syndrome. And shit, like I'm just as guilty as anybody else, but Amazon and all that stuff. It's like you're like, oh, I need this, and it'll make you happy for a fraction of a second, and then it winds up in a pile collecting dust. So,
but this is it. No, that's exactly it. I wanted to, and again, I was in that world of instant gratification, right? I'd had a mentor. I was doing big months, in business, and I thought I'd made it, right? I was getting a bit like egotistical and being like, yeah, man, woohoo, yeah, and then splash money on that, and then somebody'd say, yeah, Luke, I can help your business go to it, and I'd be like, yeah, of course, mate, I know you can. Bang, there you go, another couple of thousand there, and you get to the point where actually, do you know what? It all comes crashing. And then they're going, sorry, mate, to see you go, because obviously you're not paying them anymore. They're just like, oh, hope it goes all right. They don't give a crap about you.
No.
You're gone. You're history.
As I like to say, they don't give 2 squirts of hot piss.
No, literally, yeah. No, they don't. So you get left broken and your identity's crushed. So for me, that was another reason why as soon as I've gone back to something that makes me happy, which is bringing people together. I've always been a people person. I love socializing virtually as well as in person. I don't think you can ever beat in person though. I think that's just when you've got that energy in the room and it's electric. I just think I just can't beat it. You know what I mean? Like I've been in a dressing room and music's pumping and you've just won a game, last minute header or something like that, and you just honestly you just can't find that anywhere. And that's what I wanted to keep creating in what I do, rather than being this sort of in this pool of hunters that are just comparing about how much money they're earning or how many,
right. It's like I was listening to Joe Rogan and he had somebody on there. It may have been Elon Musk, and he's the richest man in the world, on paper.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, and you sit here and you think about it. Okay, I'm broke, right? I know I live my life, like everybody else. I'm nobody different, right? But you have with the money issue. So you say somebody has $4 billion. Then they have a friend that has 6. They're pissed that they don't have that.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you don't have to worry about anything ever again. But you're worried about because your buddy has more money or a bigger boat than you.
Literally.
You gotta like seriously reevaluate how you wire your brain on that one. Because like I'm happy with what I'm talking to someone like you. I got my girlfriend, I got my dog, I got my job. I'm good. So I think we have this mentality as a species that we're never satisfied and we always want something more. And it's so detrimental to who we are as a spiritual aspect of our life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So look, when you want more, you speed up, right? So
Yeah.
that's the thing, is everything starts speeding up. Like your thoughts speed up, you as a person start speeding up, and that's where you miss things. You actually miss so that's where, like, for example, if I talk about coaching, so I do coaching online and coaching in person, is I always, and this has come from my own experience, and the best thing that like the insight I'd taken from a coach that I worked with, he just said, Luke, you are like a Ferrari with no tread on the tires. That's what he said. You've got it all, like, as in you're the top spec, but you've just got no stopping, and that's where the issues are lying. Like, you just full on accelerator throttle, you're just going to explode. And he says, he says, Luke, you take a deep breath and slow down. And the thing is this is the sort of outlet for me where I slowed down, is like, people do meditation. I couldn't do it. I tried it.
Yeah.
Just wasn't for me. Sitting still in my thoughts just wasn't for me, because I like being still with I say still with my thoughts, but I like my thoughts flowing, but I like to be moving.
Right.
So
Exactly.
So I thought, how can I emulate that? And that's when I actually got into ultra marathon running. Me, because like I say, we live in like countryside as well. So what that started to me is I had no noise, right? So I needed silence, because obviously, again, every day we have noise, right? So noise can be just from BS from people, emails. It can be noise from like even podcasts, and I'd listen to loads of those. So I started with listening to music, but then eventually when I was running, so I'd be 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, 8 hours on my own, with my backpack of my goodies and all that stuff. I just started running with no music and no noise. So that meant that I was spending that time with myself. And think about it, right? Think about it. Like, if you're listening here, how much time do you actually spend with yourself?
Most people don't.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
Yeah.
But just even if it's like silence, though, like just literally sit there. You can even talk to yourself if you really wanted to. Because sometimes I do. Like, if I'm talking to myself in my head, or I'm outside going, "Ooh, I feel so good," or whatever, and I'm like, "Oh my," and I'm like literally going, "Oh, fuck, this is killing me," and I'll be saying that. If somebody hears me, I'm like laughing, but this is what I mean, is like, we don't do any of that. But that's where sort of your creativity starts to arise, because all your thoughts, because you want more, you want more, you want more, but then the less aspect comes in, because you're slowing right down. Then the clarity starts to appear, because you then start to have that light bulb moment where you go, and again, because I'm moving, you're seeing different environments. You're seeing trees. Because I run in mountains, rocks, whatever. You're not just looking at a blank wall for, say, 10 minutes or whatever. I'm constantly. That's why people will say, hear this, right? People go, "Do you know where my best ideas come from?" I go, go on then. They'll go, "The shower." Well, why? Because you're not on your phone. You might have your watch on, but ideally, you wouldn't have your. But you're in the shower. You're having time to think. You're slowing down. You've got hot water on your head. It's just quite relaxing, therapeutic. People say the best ideas come when they're driving, because, again, you could be sat commuting to work and back. It's that time with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a golden piece that, I think anybody that is, just sort of stuck in that, I think you've just got to look at your time and look at yourself, prioritize yourself, and spend time with yourself as well.
So for me, like, I've tried meditation. I've tried I go for a walk. I have to, if I'm not walking with my girlfriend, I listen to music, because but for me, my form of meditation was when I was on my motorcycle.
Yeah.
So, because it's like I would hop on and I would do 200 miles on the bike in the back
Nice.
roads. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's refreshing. You're in the wind, and I don't go on highways. I don't go on interstates, none of that BS. I just find, because I live kind of, I don't live in a village, I live in a small town, but it's in there's a lot of back roads, there's a lot of wooded areas and paved roads that you can ride a motorcycle on. And I have a Harley. It's just me and the road and my thoughts. And it just,
Nice.
like, there's times that, when I'll do a 300-400 mile ride, and I'm like, you come back and you're like, it's just it's that reset, it's that refresh. And that's the same thing with you and running. It's like, but for me, I'm just too fat. I got bad joints, Luke.
Phil, listen, mate, you can change them, man. You can be on that journey. I mean, like I say, you're one decision away from changing life. It might be gradual. You can make baby steps, progress. If I talk about, ultra running, it's been a couple of years, but fitness it's practically been my life since a kid, because it was part of football, right? And obviously, I've had the beauty of working. Honestly, I've worked with so many different walks of life. I'm talking MS, in a wheelchair, broken pelvises, and you see these guys, how they come back from such a setback.
Yeah.
There's always a way, and I just always advocate for this, that anybody that has driven,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be peace somewhere, and I think peace for me is movement. It's the medicine. It's natural. It's holistic. It's not. It's time consuming and it requires a lot of energy, but it's not that costly. Like, obviously you can invest a lot into it if you want, obviously hiring coaches, going to expensive gyms, whatever, like weigh it up in terms of like costs of medical and paying doctors, and you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah, I think it's just about finding the tangible things in life. You know what I mean? Like my girlfriend always says, "Money will be," and so she's like, like I was toying with it, because I'm a video gamer as well as a
Right.
couple other things that I like to do. I don't try to waste too much time doing it, but it's a good distraction for me. So I was,
Yeah, good.
yeah, there was a new video game that came out, and I was like kind of toying with the idea of buying it, and she goes, "Money will be." It's like, she's like, you work hard, buy it. So that's what I did. So, I mean, you have to think about in terms of what it's going to add to your life and how it's going to make you, just finding things that are a source of joy. I mean, don't get me wrong. Not everything needs to be a blissful moment,
No,
but because I think without some sort of struggle in life gets a little boring. It doesn't
you've
make any sense.
well, you've got to. I mean, it's like, again, all these people that are so successful, they're craving failure because they want to fail. That's where the success comes from, is the failure. As much
Well,
as
it's
we
like,
don't.
yeah, I don't mean to, sorry, I mean to
No,
cut you
you're
off,
right.
but it was like the Spartans, they were looking for a glorious death. They were looking for someone that could actually kill them on the battlefield, and they hardly ever found it. Contrast to what you're talking about, but sometimes reinvention can come out of that failure. You
Oh, it
know.
does. It does. Yeah. Well, that's the football piece that we were talking about. So I
Yeah.
was rock bottom. I felt like the world was against me. I literally didn't know what I was going to do. I actually was like, I was like the typical sort of late teens, early 20s kid going, I don't even know what I'm going to do in my life. What career path? But at that moment came the opportunity,
hmm
and then that took me down a whole different path. But I don't think if I wasn't that low and anchored and feeling very depressed and low, that I would have found that opportunity. And the crazy thing is that when you say money will be and all that kind of stuff, it's like when I got on the cruise ship, it was like things started to appear that I never thought was possible. And when I say that, I mean, I'm talking, we left Alaska and we went over to Hawaii, and there was a skydive, an opportunity, and I'd not made any money at this stage. So
hmm
I was like dipping into like a little bit of money that I had in my bank just from working with my dad. And I was like, we're not staying overnight here. We're just going to stay for one day, and then, we're moving on to the next box. We was repositioning over to Australia. And I was like, oh, fuck it. I might not be here tomorrow. We've got one life, live it. And do you know what? I can remember throwing myself out that plane, and it was, oh God, seeing Hawaii Island. It was amazing. It was so, and I honestly say this, and I've said it on a few sort of chats that I've had, that was like the opening the doors to the reinvention. Like, Luke, man, this is it. Like, you're on it now. You're finding a new path. And do you know what? I still, even whilst on that contract, I had a scout in New Zealand. So I was like, no way. I'm doing Australia, New Zealand, that wanted me to literally leave, as in get off the cruise ship 4 months into my contract, go off Auckland and fly out to this place, Napier, I think it was, semi-professional New Zealand team. They had a house for me, a car for me, and a job to do football coaching. And I was so tempted. And I said to my dad, and my dad was like, Luke, I know it sounds great. They showed me up pictures. They even got an article in Draft to announce me on the website that, like, we've got this left back, for soccer player from UK.
hmm
He's an exciting sort of player for the team, blah, 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 going to be the captain. And I turned around and I said, no, I'm going to stick this through, this commitment. And still to this day, it was the best decision I made.
So it kind of tells you that to me, that was fate just tempting you with what you wanted. And then and now look at you, you've made the correct decision, because who's to say, if you had become a David Beckham, that you would be happy,
Exactly. I mean, this is a conversation that, has been circulated throughout my life quite a lot with my dad and just my mum and family. Is going, my dad's always said, oh, Luke, do you know what? Like, you are so much happier and you've got such a more freedom sense of lifestyle in the way that you do things now
Mm-hmm.
than I know if you used to be a footballer, because of how harsh it is. Like, a lot of people, I know they'll complain. I mean, I heard it when I sort of came back off cruise ships and I went to play sort of local football again, and they didn't pay much, like probably like 30, £40 a game. And all you heard in the changing rooms was how much budget the club had. Oh, did you know that striker's on that amount of money? And to be honest, I was like sat there because obviously I'd got my own business. Like these guys was only like working at, say, coffee shop, service shop, there was just part time. Yeah, they were young kids. And I was like, I didn't want to say it in breaks. And I was like, it's not even that much money, but yeah, for the commitment that they was making, but still it was good money compared to what we was having because there was that comparison. But I was like, seriously, like you're only sat in these changing rooms because you just want them to, for the money. Like you're not in it actually for the love of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that people will sit there and they don't look at it as something to do. They look at it as something to earn,
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate, I mean, I get it. You got to put food on the table, like you said
I
before.
get it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, but when you're looking at it, so it's like nursing, for example, and I hate to keep using medical shit, but it's all I really know. It's, I know people that go into nursing solely for the money. And I tell them,
Yeah,
like, you're going to be miserable because this is not the job to be in to, yeah, obviously everybody wants to make money, but it can't
sure.
be it can't be the sole thing. And it's like anything, like whether it's football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, whether it's, being any kind of athlete, you have to do it for the passion of the thing. You can't do it because they're like, I'm doing this, you're doing your show
Yeah,
for the passion of doing it.
yeah.
I haven't made a dime on this thing,
No,
you know,
no, no, no.
and I don't, and I honestly don't care if I ever do.
I agree with that. I like so agree with that. I just feel that everything that we sort of go through in life is just, and again, I used this word earlier, transformation. I just feel everything's quite transactional. It's sort of a transaction. There's no depth, there's no meaning, there's no genuine sort of authenticity, connection piece behind it. I mean, there's two things that I sort of stood by. I said this last year going into this year that I wanted to sort of follow through with, and that was just be myself no matter what in any given situation, which I think I've done really well. And the second thing is community, build communities. And
Yeah.
I knew if I did those two things for me, and I recommend it to everyone else as well, it just genuinely brings the most fulfillment.
Yeah. I mean, well, it goes back to like volunteering your time, doing something that that is going to add value to somebody else's life.
But yeah.
Buy it. Like the other day, I was at Waffle House. It's a diner, right? It's
Yeah.
basically, yeah. I'm sure you've heard of it, but it's like, so there was and I'm not saying this to puff myself up or any shit, but there was a guy came over. He was a Vietnam veteran. He ordered black coffee and bacon and a waffle. I paid for it,
Wow.
because it's like, that guy's been through enough, and I have it. So let me just help him a little bit, and not that he needed the help,
Wow.
but I did it because
Nice.
it made me feel good and it helped him,
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's just doing little things like that will truly change your life. And I'm not saying you have to, it's just if you have the means to do so, do it, and I think, and it just helps build a community, and it makes people like, oh, you know what, that was nice, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. No,
So
I think that's great that you did that as well. And even that itself, it's authentic. And when you're authentic, again, it's about serving yourself first. Then it allows you to serve others. And that's why those two things, like I didn't just try and copy them words from anyone, like the authentic community piece. It goes again, human first, and then people follow. You look after yourself first, people follow. Like everybody wants to look up to somebody,
exactly.
right? There's 4 roles in life. It's from the hero's journey, which is Donald Miller, Hero on a Mission book, unbelievable book if anybody loves reading. And he talks about the victim, the guide, the hero, and the villain. So you've got those 4 roles in life, and you sort of dip in and out of them. Like we all will play that in some way. But
Right.
as in example of like what I'm passionate about is I'm sort of the guide. I love playing the guide role, but the hero is the priority. So it's about making the person feel like they can achieve whatever they want to achieve and be on the hero's journey, but have a guide. It's like Yoda, and it's like Luke, Star Wars, Luke Skywalker and Yoda. Like Yoda is the guide. He is, Luke Skywalker's the hero. There's all those things. It's just so the story. You never. Everyone knows that. So it's like if you want to be memorable, if you want to be a role model, you want to have an impact. It's like that's the way.
I'm a protector. Like I care about the people around me, and I want to protect everybody that I love. For a young child, you want to shield them from the ills of the world. So and it's sometimes you But yeah, but playing the role that you feel that helps you benefit yourself and your community is key into, I think, a happy life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I guess we're going to start wrapping it up, but I want to start this new thing where I'm asking people, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered for?
I love it. Pretty deep. Goes to the eulogy piece, I guess, right?
Yeah,
When
a
you're
little
sort
bit,
of,
right?
when you're at your funeral, what do you want people to remember you by? I think for me, it's the leadership. So I just want to sort of be known that, Luke always took responsibility for his actions. He made sure that everyone was looked after, but that only came from him looking after himself first. So it shows where the priorities lie, but also giving back to others. He never wanted it to just be a sort of like selfish route. It was all very much about the team game. I mean, obviously you hear sort of the quote African proverb where you go far on your own, but you go a lot further together as a team. So for me, it's about I've built a team, and even if I'm gone, they're still part of that team, and then they build their own team. So it keeps kind of going down that way.
Yeah, that's good. It's legacy right there. Well, I wanted to say thanks for coming on my show. I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me, and let people know where they can find you.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Phil. I'm literally on every social media platform. If you just put in my name, Luke Beastall, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I'm just everywhere. And even if you put me in Google and you want to find out a little bit more about me, I'm in articles. I'm pretty much There's a lot on me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
So
you
yeah,
sir are omnipresent. You are.
yes, I am out there, right? I want to make an impact. That's the way
Yeah,
it goes. So yeah, honestly,
exactly.
anyone that wants to just drop us a message, have a conversation, I'm not going to say I'll get back to you instantly, but I am an open book, and I'm more than happy to connect with
Yeah,
people.
cool. Well, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. You can find the show on Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. And thanks everybody for listening.